Gaming journalists, hey, I don't care for their opinions. I don't understand what kind of benefit we can have from them, but some people like them, so hey, to each their own, I guess. I've been wanting to cover this topic for a while, and I didn't know how to approach it exactly, so I started listing a couple of situations that we have seen gaming journalists do, and I was thinking, hey, should I cover that beautiful Cuphead gameplay by Verge Beat, or should I cover the Polygon Doom 2016 gameplay? Or we can make a small TikTok short something with IGN's beautiful review of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, saying that the game had too much water. And my god, I found the perfect topic to talk about today. And what am I going to be talking about? Well, we are going to be talking about Kotaku's beautiful, stupidest mistake that they had with Nintendo. And yes, I do mean that Nintendo, the family-friendly company with the most bloodthirsty legal team known to man. And other than mods, because Nintendo really doesn't like the idea of anybody modifying any of their games, and we have seen that through what they have done to many YouTubers over the years, their biggest hate has to be ROMs. And ROMs are, everybody knows what ROMs these days, but for people that don't know what ROMs are digital copies of games that people have pulled all the game files and can run it through certain programs on the computer to play it in its native form. And I can guess you understand why Nintendo hates these, because Nintendo enjoys the idea of bringing back their games and reselling them as HD remixes and remakes and stuff like that, and ROMs really put a dent in that line of work. And ROMs have existed for so many years. We have ROMs of the original NES, the SNES, the Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. You can find some running PlayStation 3, and currently there are people playing around with the PlayStation 4 one just to get that beautiful Bloodborne experience onto the PC. Now, are they legal or not legal? Look, I'm not going to get into that deep, but in my eyes, all I have to say is they should be legal once the device they're natively run on has passed its service. When it becomes end of service, I think it becomes freeware. Anybody can use it in any way possible. That's the way I see it. I don't know about anybody else. Now, getting back to the story, Kotaku just randomly out of the blue for no reason, they decided to do the stupidest moves, and I will explain that now. Nintendo has a game named Metroid Dread, and the game dropped on October 8th, 2021. You know what Kotaku did the next day? They decided to run an article talking about how Metroid Dread runs really well on the Steam Deck. Now, as you know, Nintendo games are exclusive to what? The Nintendo Switch. So why are they talking about emulating? You know what? Let's look at the article itself. I have it open right here. Now we have the article open right here, and the article title says, Metroid Dread is already running on Switch emulators. Hey, editor me here. So I decided that I did something very stupid, and I noticed that while editing it, I should have looked at the original article, and I decided to open it through the Wayback Machine. So this is the original article before we jump into the edited version that you will see later on in the video. So the title says right there, I'm pretty sure I played the updated title, and now I'm playing the original one. It says, Metroid Dread is already running great on Switch emulators. I am here to show you the differences within the original and the updated version. So this is one of the changes. Hey, real quick, if you're a Nintendo lawyer or employee, just like, don't read this. It was a silly mistake. Ignore this blog. You can go now. Okay, everyone else. See? They knew it was a bad idea, and they still went ahead with it. It is a Switch exclusive, as you might expect, but all you need is a Switch emulator and a decently powerful PC, and you can play Dread on your computer right now, and it looks great. And then they have the audacity to list 2 Switch emulators. They list the Yuzu open source emulator, and they list the Ryujinx emulator. And these are the same emulators that were sued by Nintendo. So you can see how fun that should have been for them too. If you want to play the rest of the Metroid franchise and don't want to shell out large amounts of money on old consoles and games, your best bet is also emulation. As is often the case, Nintendo, like most game publishers, is really bad about maintaining access to their past games outside of the few big sellers. Thank God for pirates, emulators, modders, and hackers. I make of that as you will. I will just jump back to the original video. Alright? See you guys. Only days after release, the latest entry in Nintendo's classic franchise is running in 4K using an emulator. Metroid Dread officially debuted on October 8th, but somehow copies snuck out into the wild a few days prior. Despite just coming out, the game is already fully playable in 4K via various PC-based Nintendo Switch emulators, raising a uniquely complicated situation for the Japanese publisher. The Mercury Steam-developed Metroid Dread is the long-awaited 2D return of the Metroid series. It is also a Switch exclusive, as you might expect, but because of the ready availability of Switch emulators, people are able to play Dread on powerful enough PCs. It's a pretty unusual situation, especially for a marquee AAA game with features meant to help promote sales of the latest Switch hardware, the OLED console. And its first real Metroid game, Nintendo has released in a good while to boot. Two popular Switch emulators are at the heart of the matter, both of which offer different settings and customization options, but the biggest changes are visual, with support for higher frame rates and resolutions. Given how often rumors of a 4K capable Switch spread around the web, the appetite for such upgrades has been visible for some time now. Reports indicate, however, that the emulated version of the Switch game has graphical and performance issues. This raises huge issues for Nintendo, which is in the very unusual position of having a current generation console that's able to be emulated on PC. Normally, console emulation lags a generation or two behind, meaning the scene rarely infringes on release date sales. Complicating matters even further here, emulation and Nintendo have a rocky history. Just this year, Nintendo took a major ROM site to court. Throw in the fact that older games, especially those on Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS, aren't supported very well by modern Nintendo hardware, and the now astronomical costs for some retro games, and what you get is a dicey situation. Incidentally, most of the Metroid franchise falls into this wobbling bucket, as some fans have expressed difficulty in playing those games through Nintendo approved means. That's not the case for Dread, an obviously hot commodity that is easily accessible to those who can afford it. In fact, the Switch exclusive is already reaching record sales for the franchise just a week after launch. Even so, Nintendo still has to contend with the unusual fact that some emulation efforts have achieved performance parity with their latest hardware. And then they actually have editor notes here. Let's look at them too. Editor's note. Per a request by Nintendo, we have updated the article to generally reassert that Kotaku does not promote or encourage piracy. Kotaku declined to enact changes that blurred the line between suggestions and aggressive line edits to preserve editorial independence. Update again on October 10th, 2021 at 2:20 p.m. An earlier version of the story was understood by many readers to be a direct suggestion to illegally download this just released game. We regret this interpretation and apologize, as the original article did not meet our editorial standards. Wow, just reading those two editor notes, one after the other, really shows where their mindsets were before and after. And it's kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. Kotaku believes emulation is a vital part of the world of gaming, not least when it comes to game preservation. Reporting on a phenomenon is not the same as encouraging anyone to break the law and download games they have not purchased. We believe our readers are intelligent adults capable of making such choices for themselves, independently of us. Well, that's the issue. The way this article was worded, it really sounded like, hey, you can just do this. It's a better alternative. They are rumoring to have a 4K Switch, but you can have a 4K emulated Switch right now. Hey, it's not a bad idea to go for it. Now, whenever this article came out and we saw the editor notes and everything that was happening with Kotaku and Nintendo decided, hey, you know what? No more early copies for Kotaku. And right then and there, Kotaku started crying and things got very ugly on Kotaku's side, because now Kotaku is basically blacklisted. They no longer get early copies from Nintendo, so they cannot review these certain games. And yeah, let's be honest, they did it to themselves. They shot themselves in their own foot. Now fast forward all the way to 2023, and now we have a new Nintendo game coming out. What was that game? Well, it was Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom was coming out on May 12th, 2023. And close to the release of that game, there was another gaming journalist in Kotaku that came out with a tweet saying, "It's preview day for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, a huge game. I would love for Kotaku to be able to inform its millions of readers about it firsthand. Unfortunately, Nintendo still has it blacklisted from advanced coverage, a move I would argue was both unprofessional and coercive." Now, remember the name of the person that wrote this article. His name is Ethan Gash, as you can see, at Ethan Gash. You know what Ethan Gash did on May 2nd of 2023? Well, he released a article on Kotaku about Legends of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom a week and a half before the release of the game. And what was that article? Here, let's look at it together. Everything we're learning about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom from the leaks. My brother, are you an idiot? This is the way you are going to try and get back at Nintendo? By furthering destroying the reputation or kind of relationship you had with the gaming company? The entirety of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom recently leaked online over a week ahead of the game's May 12th release date. Now some players are making their way through it and streaming their journey for all to see, while hackers comb through the game's files for more clues. As a result, we've already learned a great deal more about Nintendo's most anticipated Switch game of the year. Spoiler warning. Yeah, spoiler warning. And then they start talking about the things that they learned through the leaks or what was already being revealed before the release date of the game, which, might I add again, it's a week and a half from the release of this article, talking about the different things, about Link, the dungeons, shrines, the map, underworld, companions, can't rush. They go very in-depth with all the stuff. And then they're trying to be cutesy, and there's nothing else after that. They just end off with all the leaks and no editor notes, no ending conclusion to what they have written down. It just ends with "you can't pet the dogs." At this point, the damages were there. There's nothing that could be able to salvage anything out of this relationship. They have damaged it to a point that there is no looking back. Kotaku is just gone. It's blacklisted. There is no way they will be able to get anything from Nintendo early, and hey, that's their choice. They wanted to do that, go right ahead. But do not go around and cry at everything that's happening when you did it to yourself. And I forgot to add this because I wanted to leave it right at the end after talking about that article that from the leaks. There was another gaming journalist from Kotaku that decided to post something on Twitter, and the person that posted this is named Luke Plunkett, and this is the tweet. It says, "For the record, this is how I feel about publisher blacklists." And yeah, that's a really good photo to be using. Yeah, cool on you. And this was posted on May 2nd, 2023. Yeah, I have to block out a little bit. I have to censor it a little bit because those pictures on the airplane themselves, yeah, I don't think a lot of people will be a fan of seeing those, and I'd rather just stay far away from anything that could get me into some trouble here. Call what you want, what Kotaku did, if you want to say that it was based or whatever, but all I gotta say is Kotaku really took and bit the hand that fed them. I'm not gonna lie, like, they did this completely to themselves, and what how did I feel justified? Just because people misinterpreted what they read, even though it was plain English, how it was written. Even the updated version of the article about Metroid Dread, I read through it, the updated version, and I mean, come on. It still sounds like you're advocating for current gen emulation. Let's be honest. And yes, Nintendo, when it comes to legal issues, IP infringement, copyright infringement, and stuff like that, they are nasty. You are trying to be a professional business. Like, if you want to protect someone that is being hurt by that company, by Nintendo, like a person, a content creator being hurt by them straight up, then you can do that right ahead. But if you're going to be a business that gains a benefit for having a relationship with these publishers, then I don't understand how you could just do this and think you can get away with it. And might I add, doubling down and doing another article 2 years later about leaks about another major release of a game. Ballsy move, Kotaku. Ballsy move. But I still won't give a shit about your game reviews. And that's the end of the video. Hey, if you liked the video, why not like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. How about, tell me, what other gaming journalist moments, controversies, weird-ass moments can you think of? Drop them in the comments. I would love to read them. And if you didn't like this video, hey, I'm not going to tell you not to dislike it. You can go right ahead. And I hope to see you here next time. See you.